Here I am today with your June market update for what's going on south of Cowtown in Mansfield, Arlington, Burleson, Midlothian, Grand Prairie. So I've got your June 2026 data here. I'm Stephanie Dietz, the broker and owner of Point Realty. I am inside of houses with buyers every day. I'm listing property with sellers on a regular basis. We are actively working in the market and actively analyzing this data. And you've got to stay till the end because you may not believe or agree with my take on the whole situation. So I think it's interesting that we have so much commentary on the market as it is. It's a great market. Well, no one's saying it's a great market, but the market is terrible. Buyers have leverage. Sellers are in a tough spot, or some of these things that you're seeing in the media. And the reality of the situation is it depends on where you are, it depends on what you have, and it depends on how effectively you are marketing and actually trying to prepare and stage your property for sale. There is definitely some truth to the fact that buyers do have a little bit more leverage in this market because there are more listings on available for sale. However, if you are a seller who has done all the things you need to do with the flooring and fresh paint and all those good things, you might actually get a sale in the first week on the market because there's so much you're competing with that has not done the work. So let's get down to the numbers. In Mansfield, the average sales price in 2025 was $487,000, and in 2026 it's up to $491,000. So 487 to 491, that is not a huge jump. That's not a big amount of money, but it is showing us that we are staying steady in Mansfield. We're not seeing huge increases or huge decreases. What it's showing is that the market is stabilizing and normalizing. Same thing in Arlington. We went from 368 to 369 from 25 to 26. Now, interestingly enough, we did have a little bit of a dip in Mansfield in the month of April. So if we look at the last 90 days, we went from 509 to 560 in May. We had a peak in May. I said dip, I meant peak. We went from 509 to 560, and then we've dropped back down in the month of June to 490. These are big margins, but if we're looking year over year, and that's what we need to be looking at is year over year, we really have not seen a big change, okay? In Mansfield, your days on market has gone from 63 to 58. And actually in April and May, we had like 70 days on market. So now June has had a little bit lower of a price, but lesser days on market. And we're looking at year over year. So Mansfield going from 63 to 58, that's positive news for us. In Burleson, again, we see 385 to 400. That's not a huge change, but it is a little bit of an increase. Midlothian went from 487 to 501. These are your average prices. Now, here's the interesting thing I want to talk about, and that's the number of homes for sale. In certain areas, we're seeing increased inventory, and in certain areas, we're seeing decreased inventory. I think that the DFW Metroplex overall is actually seeing an increase in inventory right now. In Mansfield, we had 473 homes for sale in 2025 at this time. In 2026, there's only 330. That is a huge reduction in inventory in Mansfield, okay? Interestingly enough, though, even with that lower inventory, it did not decrease the number of closed sales by very much. We went from 112 to 110 number of closed sales. So even with a reduced inventory, we're still doing the same amount of business. Arlington had a reduction as well from 986 to 910, but they had an increase in number of closed sales from 275 to 300. So overall, what we are seeing is a market that is stabilizing. Again, buyers do have more leverage because they have more to choose from. Sellers do have to be a little bit more careful in what they are putting on the market. So I said to stay till the end because you may not agree or you may be surprised at what I have to tell you about this. But that is, if you are a seller, please make sure that you are consulting with someone who has been around the block, has worked in real estate long enough to know the difference between markets that we're in and how to prepare your house for sale. This is a really big thing to understand. I had a conversation with a seller last week where I said, listen, I'm asking you to replace this carpet and I'm asking you to do this painting. I'm telling you that these things need to happen before we list. And they wanted to talk about the ROI. What's the return on investment? How many more dollars will I get if I do this work? That is not the question we're asking right now. The ROI doesn't matter, because if no one's making offers on your house, then there is no ROI at all. There's no money, there's no sales. So, what I'm trying to explain to people right now is, if you are a seller that has a house that needs some improvements, don't do them until you talk to someone, because some of the improvements you think are necessary may not be. But there are some improvements you may not think are necessary that's going to get more buyer attention and more likely to sell faster and get more offers. Okay, so that's me with your June 2026 market update. If you have any questions about this data, if you would like an analysis on your own property, if you're curious about what it looks like to be a buyer right now, last thing that I will say is, this market and the way that these numbers are going like this, and will, until, again, it's a stabilizing market, but it's not there yet. We're trying to get there. This is a great example of why I tell people, if you're ready to move, if you need more space, if you want to downsize, don't let the market determine how you're going to live your life. The market is always going to change. Prices are going to go up, prices are going to go down, interest rates are going to go up, interest rates are going to go down. But ultimately, if you have the flexibility, the equity in your house, if you have the ability to do it, to go to a place that makes you have a better quality of life, do not let the market determine the way that you're going to live in your home. Okay, so give us a call, shoot us a message, comment on the video, let me know your thoughts on this data, and I will see you next time.